Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it. The JAMODI podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products. You nailed it with clarity. And as a coach, how do you gain clarity with the style of play that you want to have, the culture that you'd like to have? Because a danger, in my opinion, is changing things up every day from day to day, almost like completely different directions where there doesn't seem to be any common thread throughout. So how do you gain clarity?
Yeah, first of all, you have to evaluate properly. You got to know who the heck's on your team and what they can do and can't do. You can't say, hey, I want to coach just like Coach K. And then you don't have any athletes and they can't defend and all that. You know, you gotta coach based. Someone said, what system do I run? I don't run any system. I coach a style of play based on my talent. Now, I know every style of play possible, so I will put that. Now, if you said to me, generalize what you want to do, I use a very highly intensive pick and roll offense. Kevin Eastman and I met teaching him the pick and roll that he wanted me to teach him. So, 15, 20 years ago, that's how we met, and he said, can I have an hour of your time? Next thing you know, we were in a conference room for 8 hours. All right. It was the most fun I've ever had. 6 months later, he was assistant with the Boston Celtics. Because I called Doc Rivers and said, this is the best guy I've ever had to ask me questions.
Wow.
Doc Ireland. But Kevin, but I have a style of play. I like to play multiple defenses. I like to use 10 players a quarter, believe it or not, because I found that's how UB did it, that we can keep guys highly engaged if we play them. Okay. And now some guys might play like even when we were coaching Atlanta Hawks, some guys played 32 minutes, some guys played 16. Certain nights, some guy played 22 and the starter played 26, but it was based on their performance, and I think the more guys, and every Piston team, we played 9 players, so I think that's a good thing if you can do that, if, barring injuries and all that. But even if you don't have talent on that second unit, just to give those kids a chance to, they work hard and stuff, especially at the high school level. But, I just think, so that's my thing there. But I really want those kids to be tough. I want them to, I always center our stuff defensively first. And then, believe it or not, probably have the shortest practices of all time.
Just like your meetings.
Yep. I just believe that some coaches would go 2.5, 3 hours of practice and stuff like that, and almost beat the kids into the ground. And one of the things that I learned really from Chuck Daly was, what we did is we kind of formulated a philosophy together when we worked together that evolved, that, we changed the way shell defense was done. Every coach that I had ever played for or worked for, 4-on-4 shell, right? Might be the biggest crock of what of all time, because the last time I looked, there's 5 guys out there and no one is at 2 guards and 2 guys in the corner anymore like we used to teach it. So now everyone's 1 guard front, middle ball screen, 2 shooters in the corner. The 2 guys in the corner had never been down there in our shell drills. They always been out front. So what Chuck and I did is we then took the best plays in the NBA, and we took the very best plays for the 30 teams, and we made those plays the shell drills.
Mm.
So instead of teaching, jump to the ball, we actually had them play against the best plays so that by the time we played a team, our scouts were so quick. Our guys were running the triangle all year preparing for the Bulls. And Tex Winter would get so mad at me, and just to make Tex upset, I love to get under him. He was it was almost mean.
Almost.
We put almost but we didn't like them and they didn't like us. So
Yeah.
we put in the triangle as an offense for the Pistons because my guys were so darn smart. And Tex sees me and he goes, "You're bastardizing the triangle, just like Jordan and Pippen do. You got Isaiah and those guys do it." And I'll tell you what, we ran it good, boy. We really ran it good. And so literally when we were going to play the Bulls, my shoot around was we didn't even have to go over anything on there. That was it. They knew it. And but we were prepared and they were confident. And that's what we did. So we did that. Then Chuck had something, and I teach this now for the last 10 years at all the clinics I do. We call it controlled scrimmage, Matt. And what it is, and it works I teach it to every high school coach because every high school coach spends 20, 30 minutes on offense, 20, 30 minutes on defense, on our fast break, our transition defense. Oh, don't forget transition defense. Our out of bounds plays, how to defend out of bounds, our zone defense, our man defense. What we did is we said, okay, we're going to start the ball anywhere we want. It could be half court. It could be side out of bounds. It could be underneath out of bounds. It could be full court and implement a press. And the rules were very simple. One team has the ball. The first team to score 2 baskets, that game is over. And we would play for 30 minutes. But we would cover, I would just say, okay, I would call out our play. The other team heard what I was calling it. They knew the play. We had to execute it versus the team that knew it. This is not football. We're not having a huddle like all my college coaching friends. They all have huddles now. They're drawing up secret plays. Meanwhile, the game's supposed to be going up and down. You're taking, and you're doing a Nick Saban huddle, and, so all of a sudden we do that. Then we'll say, okay, side out of bounds. Here we go. Ball's in. We get a shot. Make or miss. Fast break back. Make or miss. Fast break back. First team scored 2 best. All of a sudden we got conditioning going, we got transition offense, we got transition defense, but we have execution and we got our defense in. What we taught was that you're teaching when you only have to score 2 baskets to win, that each possession is valuable and making good decisions. If you just put 10 minutes on the clock, the ball's flying all over the gym. And at the end of 10 minutes, the score is 4-3, But man, I'll tell you what, we play this, and I'll tell you, we did this at our first championship in '89. And I'll tell you what, we kept sweeping each team in the playoffs. So we would have a week off between playoff series 1 and 2. And back then you had a week off to prepare for the playoffs as opposed to a couple of days now. And so
that's a tough break.
Oh, we would have our scrimmages every day. And we would and then before the finals, before the third round of the thing, the conference finals, we were off for 10 days. But we would do a control scrimmage every day. The second team on the Pistons for 6 weeks never lost to the first team. That's why we were the champions, because my second team was Rodman, Vinnie Johnson, a microwave, James Edwards, the best backup center in the league, John Sally, a great shot blocker. Those are my second string guys, and they just wore out Isaiah and Dumars and stuff like that. But, that's how we got good. So it gave them confidence, because a lot of times coaches only let the first team get reps. The second team, oh, you guys practice defense. That's no fun. And so it really was something, and all of a sudden our practices were never more than an hour. In February, March, April, practices 45, 50 minutes. But we had fresh legs. And that was a big thing. And we sold that to our guys, hey, and Pat Riley, who's the dearest friend to Chuck Daly and myself, he was legendary when he came to the Knicks and practicing for 2.5, 3 hours, even in the playoffs. His shoot arounds were an hour and a half. And we would tell our players, you guys got fresh legs. Those guys in New York, they're not going to have any legs.
It sounds to me like, because that was late 80s, early 90s. It sounds to me like you were ahead of where my high school coach, maybe practice, or the thought of practice time and shell drill was. How did you guys, you said you kind of got together and you thought about that, like, but to me, within the last decade or so, it's become very popular to shorten practices and to do more with less time. But that, coach, you were doing that for a long time.
Yeah, because we knew, do you want to win the game or you want to win practice? Okay. And that was the thing. And so, at the college level, you have 30 plus games. At the pro level, if a team like us that was in all the way to the finals every year, it's 120 games. So our whole thing was we want them that if we want to play our starters 35, 36 minutes, like we could have coached LeBron now and stuff because, we would have played the guys on the bench. He's the best,
Yeah.
so it's not about that. But just to help him. I remember we wanted to have Michael play in the Olympics in '92, and he had just won his second championship, and he was exhausted. He was absolutely exhausted. And Chuck told him, listen, all we're going to do is we're going to practice for 5 days in San Diego to get ready to qualify. And then I will have no practices the rest of the time. He said, sign me up. And then we had two players get hurt, and he had to be our point guard. Stockton broke his leg. Magic got hurt a little bit, but that's what we had to do. But you know what? He wanted to play for him, and Horace Grant, when we went to Orlando, was playing there, and he missed like 30 games the year before. And when Chuck got the job, he said to Horace, he literally got at 67 years old, got on his knees and said, Horace, play for me. I'll get you through the year. And he lifted Chuck up and said, don't worry, played 82 games.
Oh, wow.
82.
Yeah.
And, and if I had ever told players that were playing for us about load management, listen, hey, you're not going to play against the Bulls tonight, Isaiah, they would have said, listen, you and Chuck, you stay home. We don't need you. We're playing, okay? They would never have allowed that to happen. They're just too prideful in that. And, they didn't care about load management and stuff like that. And that's why Joe Dumars is running the league now, has basically said, you know what, you're going to play. You're going to play. And you know what? Oh boy, he can't say that. And you look at the results this year, it's off the charts.
Yeah.
The only players that aren't playing are severely injured players that have surgeries and stuff.
I love what you said about shell drill. And it made me snicker because I can't tell you the handful of coaches that I've had, and either whether it's talking about culture or what makes their program special, or what a lot of times it is they go to shell drill. There's almost like a badge of honor, and again, I understand teaching principles and especially levels of play, maybe teaching them how to stand and why and where to be. But once that's established,
thank you.
How often, because I love the idea of adding in actions. We knew a team in our district was going to be really ball screen heavy. And so we spent a lot of time in shell just guarding out of ball screens. And you know what happened is we became better ourselves at running ball screens.
Sure.
Because how often did you find yourself adding in actions that were just going through in shell, but you're like, golly, that kind of works with us?
Yeah. And so we had a philosophy if you do the same thing every single day for a whole season, it would be like asking if you were a history teacher, or an English teacher, or a math teacher. You never get off the same chapter the whole year. You make them read it over and over and over. So our philosophy was every Monday in an NBA season, every Monday, if we didn't, even if we had a game, we would put in a new play or a new side. It might be a side or under out of bounds play. It might be a regular set play. It might be a defensive concept. We taught something every single Monday. 28 weeks. That's how many weeks we have in the NBA. 28 weeks regular season. And all of a sudden, what you found is they were excited. They wanted to know and here's the only thing I recommend, Matt, is one of our beliefs was never teach anything unless you're 100% sure it's going to work. You put in a play and the stuff don't work, they go, what the heck is
credibility?
Or you don't know
competence,
or you teach it wrong.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I worked with a coach that way, and all of a sudden he put in a play and he taught it wrong. And the players, because at NBA level, I don't care what their grade point average was or their SAT scores, they're smart basketball guys. And they're looking around going, oh man, this thing's wrong. And players are saying, Coach, you sure that's how you want me to run that? Yeah, that's how no, wrong. So you make sure you do it, and boy, they get excited if you gave them something to help them win and maybe score or something like that. And so that's one of the things. So we would do it every single week during the season to keep them engaged, motivated. And again, our job is to keep them teaching them, and that's why. But if you do the same thing and never change, it's going to hurt you.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.